So before we left off at the break, we were talking about where musicians draw their inspiration. Okay, and this is a lecture from Rudolf Steiner. He says, human beings are so made that it is possible for them to release themselves the faculties which are normally asleep. In the same way that someone born blind may be given sight by an operation, so a man's inner eye can be opened, enabling him to gain knowledge of higher worlds. When a man develops these slumbering faculties through concentration, meditation, and so on, he advances step by step. First of all, he experiences a special configuration of his dream life. His dreams take on a much more orderly character. On waking, he feels as though he were rising from out of the waves of an ocean in which he had been submerged, a world of flowing light and color. He knows that he has experienced something, that he has seen an ocean of which he had no previous knowledge. Increasingly, his dream experiences gain in clarity, and he remembers that in this world of light and color there were things and beings which differed from anything visible and being permeable, so that one can pass right through them without meeting any resistance. He comes to know these beings' element, whose bodies the colors are. Gradually he extends his consciousness over the world, and on waking he remembers that he has been active within it. The next step occurs when he, as it were, carries this world back with him into waking life. Then he sees the astral bodies of other men and of much else, and he experiences a world which is much more real than the physical one, a world in which relation to the physical world appears as a densification, a crystallization from out of the astral world. Now it is possible to transform into a conscious condition the unconscious state of dreamless sleep. The disciple who attains to the stage learns to extend his consciousness over those parts of the night which are not filled with dreams, but are normally spent in complete unconsciousness. He then finds himself conscious in a world of which he previously knew nothing, a world in which is not intrinsically one of light and color. It first announces itself as a world of musical sound. The disciple acquires the ability and the capacity to hear spiritually. He hears sequences and combinations of sounds which are not audible to the physical ear. This world is called the Devacanic world. Deva, or Diva, equals spirit, and Khan, or C-H-A-N, equals home. One must not think that when a man enters this world and hears its tones resounding, he loses the world of light and colors. The world of tones is shot through with light and colors, but they belong to the astral world. This essential element of the Devacanic world is the endlessly flowing and changing ocean of musical tones. When continuous consciousness extends to this world, its tones can be brought over, and it is then possible to hear also the ground tones of the physical world. For every physical being has its ground note in the Devacanic world, and in every countenance Devacanic ground notes are figured forth. It was on this account that Pericles said, quote, "The kingdoms of nature are the letters of the alphabet, and man is the word formed from them," end quote. Whenever anyone falls asleep, his astral body goes out from his physical body. His soul then lives in the Devacanic world. Its harmonies make an impression on his soul. They vibrate through it in waves of living sound, so that every morning he wakes from the music of the spheres. And out of this realm of harmony he passes into the everyday world. Just as the human soul has a sojourn in the Devachan between incarnations, so we can say that during the night the soul rejoices in flowing tones of music. They are the very element out of which it is woven, and they are its true home. The composer translates into physical sounds the rhythms and harmonies which at night imprint themselves on his astral body. Unconsciously, he takes his model from the spiritual world. He has in himself the harmonies which he translates into physical terms. That is the secret connection between music, which resounds in the physical world, and the hearing of spiritual music during the night. But the relation of physical music to the spiritual music is like that of a shadow to the object which casts it. So the music of instruments and the voices in the physical world is like a shadow, a true shadow, of the far higher music of the Devachan. The primal image, the archetype of music, is the Devachan. And having understood this, we can now examine the effect of music on human beings. Man has a physical body and an etheric model for it, the ether body. Connected with his ether body is the sentient body, which is a step toward the astral. Inwardly bound up with him, as though remembered into him, is the sentient soul. Just as a sword and its scabbard form a single whole, so do the sentient soul and the sentient body. Man also has the intellectual soul, and as a still higher member of the spiritual soul, which is linked with the spirit self, or manas. In a completely dreamless sleep, the higher members, and so also the sentient soul, are in the Devachanic world. This is not like living in the physical realm, where everything we see and hear is outside ourselves. The beings of the Devachan interpenetrate us, and we are within everything that exists there. In occult schools, accordingly, this Devachanic astral realm is called the world of interpenetrability. Man is played through by its music. When he returns from the Devachanic world, his sentient soul, his intellectual soul, and his spiritual soul are permeated with its rhythms. He carries them down into his denser bodies. He is thus able to work from his intellectual soul and sentient soul on his ether body and to carry the rhythms into it. We will continue with this